Hello and welcome to orcusdorkus's RPG Shenanigans, and we'll cut that part out. But this is not just a regular episode. This is a special episode where this will be a dual effort by both me and...
Oh my God, me!
Yes, this is a Orcusdorkus and Titterpigs joint.
Can we use the word joint?
We're
urban.
We
can.
We're old and urban. We're down. I guess.
We're hip.
But no. So we're here today to talk with two wonderful people and also do a recap of my visit to KamCon and talk about some of the things that we did there. Talk about a bit of the history of what brought this convention about, and also maybe know a few things of what they're hoping to do in the future. So without further delay, may I introduce Tyler Carpenter and my good friend James
Don't.
Droucker.
Good.
I'll be honest, James. I have kept this joke on for so far. It's Droucker or Droucker. So I'll just,
it's Droucker. It's
Droucker. Thank you. Yes. While we were there, Dennis made a suggestion. Just drop the U. And then people will pronounce
Droucker.
It properly. Yeah,
exactly. Well, I'm used to it by now. It's happened so often. I mean, and honestly, the most hilarious outtake on Modern Mythos with John Hook, that was so I kind of enjoy it now to a certain extent. And I mean, like I said, my entire life people are mispronouncing my name. So
yeah.
Welcome to my world.
Old hat. Yeah.
Yeah. So, but anyways, welcome, gentlemen. And I just want to start off by saying that I had a wonderful KamCon, and thank you for inviting me up there. And we'll kind of go over some of the highlights of that a little bit later on. But just to give you a general idea, just looking at some of the basic stats that you have on cardboardevents.com, this was no small feat. 593 hours of gaming, 616 players seated, and 172 scheduled events. And that's just on there. That's, I'm sure there might be some other figures that are kind of on the side there, but congratulations. This by any measure, was a successful con due to all the hard work that you and your fine staff provided during the whole stay there. But anywho, so KamCon. KamCon is a convention that is based in Kamloops, British Columbia, and it happens once a year. And I assume that it happens around the same time every year. So definitely
around
something.
Fall. Yeah.
Around fallish, yeah. So something to look forward to, which is great with a convention. You can make plans ahead of time. But let's dive into the history of KamCon. How did it? Where did it start? Where did this this wonderful Canadian redwood take seed and grow into a maple producing redwood? I didn't take it.
That wasn't clumsy at all. That was fantastic.
We're professionals on both channels. I promise.
Yeah, exactly. So
it'd be fantastic if redwoods produced maple syrup.
Yeah.
True story.
So KamCon started ultimately with a group of friends that were playing D&D. We had been playing for, I don't know, maybe about a year or so shortly after 5th edition came out. And maybe, I don't know, between a year and a half, somewhere in there into this game, we thought, God, it'd be a lot of fun to go to a gaming convention. And so we looked around at where could we go to a convention to play RPGs, and there wasn't much. We found some anime conventions and comic conventions where there was like a side room that had a handful of RPG games going on. We thought, no, that's not us. And there was, we could go to San Diego. There's a couple really big conventions, but they just weren't accessible to us. When you look at the cost of flights and hotels, and it was over $1,000 a person plus to go to a lot of these events. So we went to one board game convention that was strictly just board games, and we kind of looked around. It was a pretty simple setup, and we said, screw it, we'll make our own. And that's fundamentally how KamCon started.
Okay.
That was you and Julian, right?
Correct. Yeah.
Was there anybody else involved with at the beginning there? Because I wasn't involved year one as a coordinator. So
Okay.
Yeah. So in year one, it was predominantly Julian and myself. His brother was voluntold into some of the organizing and helping out. We had a couple friends chip in a couple $100 or a few $100 to help cover some of the costs.
Mhm.
Fortunately, we were able to pay them back after the first year, which was really fantastic. Um, yeah, it was the first year was largely just myself and Julian with a couple people helping out here and there. And our town is a little bit notorious, like a lot of places are, but ours is pretty notorious for being a last minute town for events. And the weekend before the first event, I think we had sold 35 tickets or something like that. And Julie and
Oh,
I
I
were
know that
sitting
struggle.
there, yeah, like we're sitting there, we're having a beer going, the hell did we do? Did we just light $5,000 on fire? Like, what are we doing? And then lo and behold, people showed up. And, it wasn't big. We didn't expect it to be big. We just wanted to throw a big party that weekend.
Mhm.
And yeah, we had about I think close to 150 people or so show up that
Wow.
first event. And we, barely scraped even, but we had a couple $100 left over. We went, okay, I guess that'll fund the start for like t-shirts or something next year. I don't know. I guess we're doing this again. And that's when James got involved.
Oh.
Well, I was involved in year one as a GM.
Mhm.
And I came in, I ran X-Crawl, which kind of leads into what things that happened this year, and some Call of Cthulhu. And it was my first time ever running Call of Cthulhu 7th edition. But I think as soon as I heard about it, because I saw it on Facebook, I messaged Tyler and I'm like, oh, I've always wanted to GM at a convention. And then he didn't not hear from me almost every day for about 6 months.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, I want to do this. What are we doing for this? How is this being planned? And so when year one was done, it was fantastic. It was a great experience. Barring some experiences I had during the convention, which I figured this could be done better. So I went to him after. I said, after because they started asking for applications for people to join the KamCon planning team, and I went to him and I said, well, I think this needs to be done. I'd like to come in and I'd like to coordinate and run the games played at KamCon, and I don't want to fill out an application. And he said, "You don't need to. It's okay. I know you're going to be there." So
Badges?
that's
You
yeah,
don't need no
badges.
stinking badges.
I don't know if it's arrogant of me. I mean, it's kind of carried on through the years. It's kind of my whole meta. But yeah, we that's when I came on officially as a coordinator at that point and started just uh, curating a games list, getting GMs
Mhm.
and getting them ready and that was a lot of fun and very, very rewarding. Partially because I get to know the people in the community who are playing these games
Mhm.
and dig them out from wherever they were, because a lot of people, like, again, let's be honest, most of the fans in our chosen hobby here are very much introverted and keep to themselves or their own groups and stuff. So finding those people and pulling them out was a fun and interesting challenge. And always has been wonderful getting to meet all these people. So I don't do that as much anymore because I've kind of taken on more different responsibilities.
Mhm.
But I do miss really kind of getting into the trenches with the GMs and stuff. To the point where there's still some that they'll message me and say, "Oh, I can't do this for the GM stuff." It's like, I'm not running you. It's Marcus. Go talk to Marcus. So
Yeah. So for those, obviously some people, a lot of people in the hobby have those ambitions. Especially some of the younger ones, and like you said, spreading out and trying to gather together like-minded people to join in the hobby. How many years ago was the first CamCon? Just a general idea of.
That was 2018. So
Okay.
we
All
yeah, we
right.
just had our eighth event if you count the
yeah.
Wow.
digital events during COVID.
Wow.
Nice.
So you had mentioned $5,000. That was kind of approximately the startup cost. I assume it wasn't the school where we had or the college where you had this. The first one was
It,
where?
it was actually,
Yeah.
Oh,
except
really?
it was only in the grand hall. We rented just the single room the
Okay.
first year. Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah. So, I mean, just kind of I mean, obviously prices have changed a bit since 2018, but, and that's not to say that that's a set amount because, Keith, I mean, you've coordinated, conventions before. I would
Yeah.
imagine the cost might be a bit different or depending on what you need and what you're doing.
Ooh, yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
my first convention, we were doing what we called gathering in the park. We rented a little community center building in a local park, and that was like 250 for the day.
Right.
And we were doing that on a quarterly basis, and then it just started to grow from there to the point where we were spending for a 3-day weekend. It was 12,500 for the weekend for quite a bit of space, two ballrooms and some offshoot rooms, some breakout rooms, and then it jumped up to like 18,000, and we're just like, whoa.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it literally went from 12,500 to 18 grand, and we're just like, whoa.
Yeah.
And then they wanted per table, tables and chairs to rent. Those were separate, and Wi-Fi was separate. I mean, they just started to stack on top of the 18, and we're just like, nope, we're out. Bye.
Well, we've been very lucky in that our venue, which is TRU at the Thompson Rivers University, again, the Grand Halls is their main kind of convention space, I guess you could say. Conventionally convention space, a big square room with high ceilings. And like I said, that was the first year. That was where we did where Tyler and Julian did first year. But as we've grown in both the scope of what we want to do and just the sheer volume of people that have been coming, I mean, we crept alarmingly close to 1,000 people this year, which is amazing and awesome.
That is awesome.
Yeah. So we're excited for the future and the growth. But TRU has been very, very instrumental and very helpful in making sure that we have everything we need to make these events happen. So like, yeah, it started with one room, and now we've got the ballroom. I guess you could call the Grand Hall ballroom. Tyler, you think?
Yeah.
Give or take.
Yeah.
There's kind of like a larger room you would typically see used for like weddings and receptions and stuff, and then one that mirrors it underneath that isn't quite as ornate, but it's the same size, just not as tall. Then a bunch of offshoot rooms, and then in the center of all of this, which is awesome, and Scott saw this, like there's this rotunda that connects to all of these different rooms, and it's this round space that we use as well that kind of there are 3 levels to it. Top levels mostly we just use for entrance to the RPG room and the registration, but then we've got artists and volunteer organizations and stuff set out around all of the different levels. And then like I think we had the BattleTech was outside in the rotunda as well. And then we put our board game library on the bottom floor, and we had a whole bunch of tables that were running. You were running a lot of that down there, weren't you, Tyler?
I was doing some of that down there. Yeah. One of the local game stores coordinated most of the board game stuff, and that's something that's been big for us too, is coordinating with different local partners and that sort of thing.
That's awesome. So I can kind of give you a comparison of my experience, and I do have a kind of a follow-up question to that. So for comparison, like when we were doing our convention here, we ran into a problem where like the local stores wanted to be involved, like have a presence, but they didn't want any other local stores, because there's several of them here, didn't want to have any other presence there because they wanted to have like exclusivity for sales. So there was that. So, but they didn't want to like organize any events. They didn't want to have any sponsorships. They just wanted to have a retail presence. So we had to deal with that, and they wanted exclusivity with that. That was an interesting dynamic. We're just like, nobody gets exclusivity. We're not dealing with any of that. The second thing, though, my follow-up question to that was, though, you said that, where you live, your local community is kind of like last minute, right? Like everybody just kind of showed up that first year, like right at the end or right at the beginning of it. Just bam, they showed up. Did you guys find at the beginning, or even still find, like the local gamers, not people traveling in from out of the town, but like local gamers that like are part of the board game clubs or the role playing game clubs in and around the local area? Are they supportive of the event, or do they say, or do they have the mindset, well, why do I want to pay to play when I can just play with my friends and I don't have to, there's no cost. Do you guys
Yeah.
run into that?
We run into both, and I would say the majority of the local community is quite supportive. There certainly
Good.
are a few people that are, $30, $40 to show up and look around and maybe play some games is outrageous. And sure, if they're going to have that opinion, then they're going to have that opinion, and I can't
Sure.
change their mind, and I won't try because that's where they are. But the community as a whole has been really, really supportive, which has been great.
Fantastic.
When we first started, I even went to, all the game stores that we had at the time. And there's one game store that a number of years ago had been burnt pretty bad by someone starting a convention. And I didn't know this. And I went and I said, hey, we're starting up this convention. I'd love to put up some posters. And the guy gave me this, I don't know, it felt like half an hour, but realistically, it's probably 5 minute tirade about how, we don't know what we're doing. We're going to lose our shirts. And he just
Wow.
had this like really bitter underpinning seed. And,
Yeah.
I understand now why he responded that way because he'd been taken for thousands of dollars by someone.
Right.
And that was really unfortunate. So, we certainly faced some of that pushback when we first started in our first few years. And Julian and I, at the very beginning, said, you know what? Not everybody's going to really buy into what we're doing. And we believe that we can do it. So we're just going to do it anyways. And we were
Good.
careful
Fair.
and conservative with how we planned things. We made sure that we didn't, expand beyond our capacity. There's a couple times where we nearly did and had to kind of scramble a little bit, but that's part of organizing events. That
Right.
there's so many unknowns that you have going into every single year.
Right.
Yeah. I think it's this kind of event, if you don't have the support of that local community, it's not gonna, like, we wouldn't be in year 8 if it wasn't for the local community that does come. And we're getting better about being ubiquitous within Kamloops. Because I know 4 years ago I went into a game store and there was a guy reading some role-playing game books and was like, oh, so you play? It's like, yeah, I do. He's like, oh, you should come to KamCon. And he's like, what's that? And I'm like, that can't happen. That can't happen in Kamloops. Every player in Kamloops needs to know about KamCon. And that's and we've gotten a lot better about that. And again, it's
Right.
like we're spreading out that net by just spreading out the net. Like putting our advertisements out into Alberta and into Washington State and Vancouver proper, and we're getting those people coming up.
That's good. That's good. Because
So that community grows. Yeah, go on. Sorry.
no, I was gonna say, I know for me, like for my convention, like the probably 80% of our attendees were out of towners.
Yeah.
The
Wow,
vast
okay.
majority were out of towners. Of those, the local folks, there was a good number of local folks that just wouldn't come out, and it was unfortunate.
Yeah.
But there was no change in their mind. And if it would happen to be a local game club game day for the game club that I was one of the founding members of, they were so entrenched they would not come out to the event.
Yeah. Well, I think we're in an interesting
War gamers.
geographic. Yeah, war gamers. We're in an interesting geographic situation in that Kamloops is kind of in the center of BC, and there are a lot of outlying communities and cities that are just as kind of compartmentalized where they are. And being able to draw from those various communities around and consider them as part of our kind of our core, I think, is a realistic assessment. So it's not just Kamloops people. We've got people coming from Prince George and Salmon Arm and
sounds like you guys are kind of
bunch
centrally
places.
located where you
Well,
can
exactly,
pull.
yeah.
And
We're along
you-
a major freeway that goes through the middle of BC called
Well,
Coquihalla. And
You're also
yeah.
you're also very blessed to have a local airport.
Yes.
That touches, that I would assume all of the airports around there connect to, which is a big
assume, yeah.
plus. I would assume so.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So-
absolutely.
But so you would be shocked to know that Los Angeles area, right? That's where I live near. Is tremendously lacking in the amount of conventions out here.
That
We
is shocking.
have one that's been around for a long time, Strategicon, which is began. You can hear it in the name. Began as a wargaming convention, and then kind of brought in other ones into its fold, and it happens 3 times a year in LAX. But that's the only real big one, and it's a it's not much larger than yours. And the thing is though is there really isn't a huge outreach beyond it because they've been around for so long, and the years that I've been going when I discover it, the one thing that it feels like with that one is it's just kind of like, well, we're here, and the presence that they kind of exude is like, well, it's the same thing. There's really no want or need to go to the 3 conventions a year. You've been to one, and that's all. It seems like they're all the same. Um, and it kind of feels like a rinse and repeat. So as you have progressed, over the years since you started it, do you have any like you know do you have any highlights? What are the things that you've done to kind of keep the growth, keep the excitement going each year? I know was Seth and John weren't your first major guests, were they? Last
Major
year?
guests.
Yeah, I
I,
mean,
I think I I think we could accurately say that John and Seth were our first major guests. We've
oh
had
really?
guests before. Yeah, year two. I I had come up. I think it was year two. Did Doug
Mhm.
come up year one, or was it
He
only
came
year
up
two?
year one. I think he had to miss year
Okay.
two, but he came up year one.
Okay. Yes, year one. And he was a
Yeah.
friend of mine that I gamed with, and he's old school role player. I mean, he's sat down at
Right.
the table with Gary Gygax.
Yeah.
He's been writing his own role playing games, writing comics. So we had him come up, and I
Mhm.
guess technically Doug would be the first
Right.
KamCon guest, and
Yeah.
and he's come up a lot since. He wasn't
Right.
able to be there this year because of family issues, unfortunately.
Hmm.
But uh, but yeah, but in terms of high profile
Yeah.
guests, last year was John and Seth. That was that
Okay.
was that was that was and it, as a milestone for our
Mhm.
convention, it was a pretty big one. When we're talking to some people, and there was apparently somebody who came from California last year, um, which was at that time a huge deal for us.
Sure.
I mean, it's still a huge
I
deal that
mean,
someone would come that far to
I
come to our
guess.
humble, yeah.
See how it
I
is,
remember
Keith?
when they told me that. I was like, "Oh, so you're just in Kamloops and you came by because you heard we were happening?" And he's like, "No, no, we came for this convention." I was like,
Ah,
"What the hell?" But
cool.
yeah, it's super cool.
Well, I,
Yeah.
I assume you
Nice.
have, and I know you have, but I assume over the years you also probably have, local artists, local game creators. I forget the gentleman's name, but I believe he's the one who either created or expanded on Mutant Epoch, I think was the
Yeah,
one that
William
was there.
McCausland. Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah. He's also
Which,
an artist for DCC. Does
yes.
a lot of stuff with them.
Yeah, and Mutant Epoch is not unknown here. I mean, I
Yeah.
see it in one of the game stores carries a copy or two of it, I believe. But as has there been, as far as younger or up and coming, artists, creators, and whatnot that have kind of maybe have presented themselves here at Kamloops over the years, and that's a big
Hmm.
thing. I mean, outside of
Mhm.
the people just wanting to get together and play, conventions are historically starting points for a lot of people's games, and I assume that this convention is open to that. I mean, who's our the co-writer for the Cthulhu thing we're working on? He was presenting his game there.
But a couple of them.
Connor,
You're
yeah,
talking Connor Heighton, yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
He created Osmond Ward, and he's
right.
been like, I think, I don't know whether did he run it year one or not. I
He
can't remember that.
didn't. It didn't exist year
Okay.
one.
That
Yeah.
it existed year two, because that's when he brought it to me and said, I have this game I'm making. Can I run it? And I'm like, yeah, let's do that. That's awesome.
Yeah.
And he's been running it every year since, and he's building it and working on it and getting it made. Uh, and that's it's very exciting to see that within the town, and having gotten to know him over the years when we started working on our
Hmm.
project. Connor was one of the names. I was like, well, let's see if he's interested in doing something completely different, out of his regular kind of motif, and he was totally up for it. And then there's Kenton Moore, who is a local writer and runs a lot of games for us. We asked him to
Hmm.
join as well.
Hmm.
He had a table there doing his books, so being able to showcase the local talent like that
Yeah.
is, uh, it feels it. it feels special to me, at least. I'm sure Tyler feels the same way. In that we're giving some of these creators and artists a chance to just, give them an audience, that in a non-difficult way. It's like they don't have to go all the way down to Vancouver to go to
Yeah.
some other convention where nobody knows them and try and fight for eyes on their projects and their products, whereas they're a known quantity in Kamloops. We know them, we appreciate them, and we want to give them a voice.
Right.
And that's definitely, like I said, very rewarding.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Personally, yeah.
There's
So-
another couple in town, Marco Gonzalez and JPaz Diaz. They're artists and they live in Kamloops. They're from Chile, I believe. And they a couple years they had bought a artist booth and had some really, really cool art. And one of the owners of a local game store pulled me aside last year and was like, "Do you realize who these people are?" And I was like, "They're great artists." That's as far as I went. And he goes, "Okay, come with me." And he showed me a bunch of Flesh and Blood cards. And he goes,
Oh.
"This is Marco's work. He's one of the artists for Flesh and Blood." And so I went over to his table and there's the same art and it's his art. And anyway, so we partnered with both of them to put together some art for us this year. And it's super cool to see that there's some really insanely talented people locally and to be able to try to highlight them. That's super cool.
Yeah.
So one of the things about a convention is you don't really earn your wings until you get your first cosplayer showing up. Do you recall when you had your first cosplayer or players, walk through the doors of KamCon?
That was our first year.
Oh, really?
Oh yeah.
Nice.
We were like, you know what, conventions, cosplay is a thing. And one
Yeah.
of my good friends, Jeremy Androsoff, has been involved with Anime Revolution and stuff like that for many, many years. And so I said to Jeremy, because he's done cosplay as well, and I was like, "So how do we do a cosplay contest?" And I was like, "I have no idea." And so he gave some really basic parameters and we advertised we wanted to do a cosplay contest. And I think we had a dozen or so people compete in that first contest.
Wow.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Jeez.
We
And
avoided cosplay contests. We didn't tell people they couldn't do cosplay, but we weren't doing a contest. Like,
What
They
was
weren't
your issue with
discouraged.
doing it? Why did you not want to do that? Just one more thing you just didn't want to have to plan, or?
it was another thing we didn't want to plan, and nobody on the staff was into cosplay. We didn't have any frames of reference or expertise in it, and we didn't want to bring anybody else on board and just have another thing muddying up the management pieces of it. So
Sure. But I mean, they will show up
Oh yeah.
eventually.
we had some, like the first year when we had like the first year we did a 3-day convention, like
Right.
in a proper hotel, outside of the park event type stuff. We had people show up in cosplay and it was great. We commented, "Hey, great get up, looks fantastic." Super supportive of it, but
Right.
we weren't doing contests and all of that.
Yeah.
So
Well, yeah, going back on that, because like that was another one of our milestones. Because I remember sitting up on the top level of the rotunda with Tyler, looking down, and it was the first year we had the 501st Legion show up to KamCon as an official presence, and we talked amongst ourselves like this is feeling so much more like a real convention now. It's
Right.
like, having them here is so legitimizing. And that was a huge moment for us as well. So,
Right.
yeah, no, the cosplay, I mean, yeah, like you said, in terms of a convention, if you build it, they will come.
Yeah.
And they came. Oh
Yeah.
boy, did they come.
Yeah. Hopefully, in good cosplay, not some of the ones that I've seen at lower conventions. But anyways,
It's got to start somewhere. I can't slag anybody who's willing to put their own design and sometimes lacking artistic skills on the line because they want to do something that feels cool. So I mean, yeah, it may not be the greatest cosplay, but hey, right on for doing it.
I'm not. No, it's not them. It's just the one guy who kind of I'm sorry, a pair of Depends doesn't count. But,
No, okay, yeah.
I think you're more an exhibitionist. You're at the wrong
Thankfully,
con.
thankfully we haven't had to deal with anything. Well, I don't think we've had to deal with anything like that. So not my department.
Yeah, we'll see. There you go. So CamCon 2025. Let's roll into this. So just a quick story. James, you reached out to me and you said, at a certain point, said, would you like to come up and host a panel? Would be great if you make it. And at the time, I wasn't sure. Obviously, the personal life and everything had to kind of like be dealt with. But eventually came to the point where, it was looking hopeful. The plane tickets were not that expensive, primarily because I was flying up on 9/11. And of course, you and Tyler and all the wonderful people of CamCon were very gracious enough to put me up in a hotel during my stay, and of course, and then it changed, where Scott, hey, this person can't make it. Do you think you could be a part of Taskmaster? And I'm like, I guess. I mean, you're my host, and I am here to serve. And then it's like, hey, somebody can't make it. Can you be part of X Crawl? I'm like, sure. And then, hey. So
I hope it didn't feel too much
not at all. I'm just joking.
Just to amend your story, but like you had expressed interest in coming,
of course,
especially after I had announced both Dennis Detweiler and Shane Ivey were showing up. You were like, "Oh, I'm really interested." And then I said Brendan LaSalle, who you're a big fan of as well.
Yes,
you've played with him at a couple of times at Gen Con. And so I knew you were interested in coming. So
big fan. He's a fanboy. And he's a friend of ours. So.
Brendan is the best. I mean, that goes without saying. But I just sort of latched onto the fact that you wanted to come, and like for my own selfish reasons, I wanted to meet my friend in real life. I mean, we've talked a lot. I've been on the. I think as of now, I'm actually holding the record as the guest appearance on the Titterpigs
twice.
No, I've been on 3 times.
Oh, okay.
3, maybe 4. Well, we won't go through that, but but anyway, I go back with you guys quite some ways.
Sure.
I mean, honestly, I met you guys probably year 2 of CamCon, because that's when I started writing with the Sons of the Singularity.
Right.
But like I said, you were excited about the potential coming up to meet all these people. It's like, oh, it sounds like you guys got a legitimate con going on here. So I just kept hounding you. It's like, are you coming? Are you coming? And you're like, well, I've got to figure out how this is going to work. This will work. And at some point, either right before or right after you said yes, either I was, in my mind, I was thinking, oh, maybe I'm sweetening the deal to him if I'm telling him he can help us do some content, and he'll be a special event, a special guest. And you were, and just it made it bigger and better. And Brendan, who God bless him, when we were, because he knew like all conventions are string budget and everything. He said, well, if you need to have somebody bunk with me, no problem. You just do that. I'm like, well, we'll see. I don't think we need to do that. But then it's like
worst thing you could have told me, because my particular sense of humor was already kicking in gear when I knew I was going. And I'll, in the video portion of my channel, I'll probably flash up a couple examples of what was done. The shirt I made for Brendan LaSalle.
Did you show him?
Of course,
the shirt?
I showed him. Okay. Oh yeah, he's just like, oh my God, what is this? And I'm just like, and he just would pause and go, and every once in a while he'd come back and he's all, dude, I can't stop thinking about that shirt. What I mean, just I
don't know if you saw the shirt, Tyler, at all. Did you hear about it?
No,
well,
I missed that.
So
what did it say on it? Yeah.
So you obviously saw the gift shirt that I made for Taskmaster with the Delta Green lads, which went off far better than I thought. But I made another shirt because as soon as James said do you mind bunking with Brendan LaSalle, and this wasn't even to be used for X-Crawl at the time. I made a shirt that says I went to CamCon and I slept with Brendan LaSalle because technically I did. So that's what I wore to the X Crawl show. Yeah. So
Fantastic.
yeah.
So awesome. So awesome.
So anyhow, so the CamCon 2025. I mean, the we'll get to the details in a minute, but it has all the standard traits of a good con. You've got you've got your board games, you've got your various panels, you've got RPGs, you've got trading card games and war games, but and other things. A good sized vendor hall with a wide variety of people and representation there with a lot of the people within Canada. I met, I forget the gentleman's name. He gave me his card, but he deals with a lot of the distribution within Canada from people from the UK and outside, and whatnot, and a surprisingly large, in fact, with almost just about the same amount of people in the artist hall, with a variety of just fantastic things. I mean, you had someone there that was selling their ceramic ware, which was a highlight for my wife. She's a ceramics art teacher, and a lot of beautiful pieces that I would not even trust bringing home on an airplane. So, but and and again, the support there was fantastic. One of the highlights of that is even when you said that we were reaching 1,000 people, the layout of the area that you have, it never felt that way. Just with the expansiveness of the rotunda, the variety of things going on, everybody kind of felt like they were spread out perfectly, and as far as movement within everything, there was never any crowding or anything like that, which again, and I just want to clarify, I'm not shitting on Strategicon. I love the convention, but it does take place in a singular hotel, where at any given time, it could get very crowded depending on what's going on. It never felt that way there. So from you guys, can you kind of give us a general idea of what were some of the things that were being presented here, and likewise, maybe a highlight or two that happened, for you guys during the convention, and then we'll talk about me. So go ahead.
For this year, I think one thing I really really enjoyed seeing is the expansion of the wargaming end of our content. We've wanted to do that in the past, and we've had kind of middling success. We've run a few events and tournaments and that sort of thing.
Mm-hmm.
But this year was the most that we've had for wargaming, and there's a huge community. There used to be a convention in Kamloops before COVID, called Attack X, that ran strictly wargaming. It was pretty much 90% Warhammer and Warhammer 40K and that sort of thing. And they were successful for a long time, and they were one of the largest, I think, in North America for that sort of stuff. And after COVID, that event collapsed, which a lot of conventions died during that time.
Yeah.
And so to be able to pick up some of that, I think is really fantastic. And the other big thing for me is the breadth of content. It's not just that we've got RPGs. A lot of people go, "Oh, that's just Dungeons and Dragons." I'm like, no, that Dungeons and Dragons makes up about like 10% of what we do. There's so much that's out there. So to have such a wide variety of not only types of content, but the franchises or the titles inside of each of those types of content, I think is a really amazing point for us.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I remember when I did year one, my first year as a as a coordinator. That was one of my big aims. It's like I didn't want to just have a bunch of people playing Dungeons and Dragons, so I was really kind of like, well, okay, yeah, you say you want to do Pathfinder, but is there anything else you might want to do? And so it's just expanding that net and getting more games out there in different genres, and I think it helps to not only give people a variety of things, because what I was hearing from attendees, since year one, like even when I wasn't a coordinator, was that people came to these conventions a lot of the time because they wanted to find something new. They
Right.
wanted to do something different, not something that they've done already every weekend. Because yeah, you have that notion of it's like, yeah, you're just a bunch of people playing D&D in a dark hall. And part of getting a wider variety of games available for people to play is to battle that kind of overpowering image of what the role player is and
Right.
what they do. So yeah, and I think that's something that has maintained and stayed strong with our planning people and our committee and all of our amazing volunteers
Hmm.
right from the get-go. Is that was always very important that we have that kind of play style and game diversity moving forward. So
Hmm.
and I would be very sad if that ever kind of disappeared. I don't think it will. I think it's vital and important to it should be vital and important to any convention, in my opinion. But again, if you're focusing on something, then maybe the meta is a bit different. But
Yeah. No, I mean, you had over 80 events listed, approximately, and very few overlap,
yeah.
as far as the games are concerned. And, Ludo, our friend Ludo, was gracious enough to attend. And one of the games that he ran was RuneQuest, and everybody at the table, that was their first time playing RuneQuest. And to be
Awesome.
perfectly honest, they couldn't have had a better GM for that because
Yeah.
of who Ludo is and what he does with it with
Yeah.
his podcasts and
Yeah.
everything. And I guarantee you that was the first time anyone played Weird Heroes of Public Access there.
Yeah.
And and again, a round of applause to the I call them kids, but they were probably early 20s or around there,
Hmm.
just completely just diving into the weird aspect of this game. And I think one of them just played D&D. Another one has been to the convention several times, and this other girl, I think, maybe tried a couple of things, but they just dove right in. They were an absolute blast.
Awesome.
And the other people that I'd met, like your group of friends, James, that you were running Wrath and Glory for. They all
Hmm.
seem like a great crew, and I love how they kind of followed you around to your panels to give you shit.
You
Hmm.
you had
Uh,
you had fans.
yeah, yeah.
I had friends
So,
Fans.
who I said,
um,
Are you coming to Taskmaster? Are you coming to the X Crawl Live?" And I
yeah.
wasn't asking, I was telling.
Yeah. So besides the couple things I was involved in, what were some of the other panels that you recall that were there? I know you were hosting another one too there
Yes,
with some of the
I
people.
host. Yeah, I hosted a panel about authenticity in creative work, which it wasn't just role playing games. There was one of our guest artists, Echo Chernick, who has done extensive work in the world of Darkness and Shadowrun, was
Mhm.
one of the guests on that. And that was a really cool panel because as a creator myself, these are like these questions and these notions of how to create and how to be authentic to yourself were important to me as well. So that was the other panel that I hosted. Eh,
I, I I showed up at like the last 5-10 minutes of it, and I had to. I screwed with James.
that's okay.
He glanced down at his phone, and I sent him a text message, and I didn't know that his alerts were on, and the message was like, "Get off your phone,"
Yeah,
and then
and
it
the
was,
phone goes off in the middle of the son of a bitch. It's like I'm sorry, I'm running a convention at the same time, trying to pick up emergencies and stuff. I'm sorry that my using the phone ruined your experience. So, but I'm
but no,
glad you could ruin
but
everybody else's experience
but
too by turning off my phone. I should
but
have
no,
put it on
but go
silent.
on. So I mean, I know there was you had several others. Was there any
Yes,
others?
Avery Alder, who created Monster Hearts, Quiet Year, Dream Askew, and the upcoming Go for Broke. She was one of our special guests
Mhm.
coming from Calgary, and she ran with Connor Heighton, who we spoke earlier about, who creator in town.
Mhm.
They got together and had a discussion and conversation with an audience about discovering your identity through gameplay, which by all accounts went fantastic. And she's done this sort of panel before. Like I
Sure.
essentially said to Avery, like is there a topic you would like to discuss yourself instead of just being on one of my panels and doing something? Because she was on the authenticity in your work panel, and she's like, yeah, no, I'd kind of like to talk about this, and so we set that up, and that went very well. Um, I know I'm missing other things. Uh,
There
oh,
is
sorry, go on.
there is one panel that we uh, I made a decision. It's kind of my baby to
Mhm.
not run this year because we'd run it every year for the last 3 years. Was using role play games in therapeutic or educational settings.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah, which is a super super cool topic.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
No,
Well, did Graham still run something like that, or was there no panel at all?
There wasn't this year, no.
Oh, okay, that's fine. Next year, because I think it's an important topic. I mean, it's
yeah.
it's it's dear to my heart, even though it's like my son is autistic, and I've talked about that extensively. He's nonverbal autistic, so it isn't really the kind of therapy, unfortunately, that I at least I don't know how to incorporate my son into. But just the whole notion of using this hobby that we love so much to
Right.
help people is, I mean, and I know me and Scott have talked about this from time to time as well, because I know you've done some work out where you are doing
Mhm.
that sort of thing a
Yeah.
bit too. So, yeah, no, that's, uh, I think it's important to shine a light on it as often as we can. So,
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Hmm.
yeah,
And especially in my
Yes.
day job, I'm able to run right now D&D games as a social development tool for neurodiverse kids,
that's
and
awesome.
it's wildly powerful. It's super super cool.
It is
It's the reason
without
you're one of
question.
my heroes, man.
Thank
I
you.
love you. Yeah.
But yeah, I think you meant that for Tyler. Uh, that's
Wow.
You're one of my favorite sidekicks, okay? There you
oh,
go.
He meant
I,
that for me, not for you, Scott.
so yeah, I mean, and then of course, what I was involved in Taskmaster, is a game show. I don't know if it's internationally known, or I mean, it probably is, just not
It
as
is
well
now.
known
I
in the
mean, there's
States.
yeah,
Yeah,
it's there are international versions all over the world
right.
that are televised and
Yeah.
presented. The first one that me and my wife discovered
Mhm.
was Taskmaster New Zealand, but the
Right.
first one that was made was in England, which is the best one
Right.
that most people know. And like I said, me and my wife binged them and just loved it. And I was kind of like, well, well, first year I had special guests last year. I was like,
Hmm.
maybe I could do that kind of thing. That would be fun. And so they talked to John, talked to Seth, talked to a couple of other special guests, and said, hey, would you be interested in making absolute fools of yourselves,
Hmm.
sacrificing a little bit of dignity and having some fun? And they were all in, and it went super well. And so I said, well, I want to do this again this year. And I have my Alex, who is my assistant for the show, Andrew Robertson, has been with me both years, and we're both game to keep doing it as long as people keep showing up to watch it. So,
Hmm.
but it is fun.
Yeah.
It's a hoot, and again, I think as long as people are understanding, it's all in fun,
Right.
and it's fully admit it's stupid. It's absolutely dumb, but
You
that's the charm.
you need to share the picture of Dennis on his knees, blindfolded with an animal blindfold, trying to stack dice up stuck to tape. I mean, Keith,
Yep.
this thing was just it was
Wow.
it was great
Yes.
fun. I mean,
The
the Brendan, having to draw a picture on Brendan LaSalle's back and have him translate it onto a board, trying to figure out what I'm drawing. Amazing results.
yeah.
And I mean, I kind of, whispering in his ear maybe made him feel uncomfortable, but he didn't say not to.
We
But
did we did record that and Xcrawl live
oh, excellent.
with our videographer, so we will have that posted on our YouTubes at some
Yeah.
point, and we'll
And
tag you
Okay,
all
because
in it.
now
So,
I want to see this.
yeah,
oh yeah,
X crawl and X crawl. I mean, again, Brendan LaSalle. I mean, just without comparison in so many things.
mhm.
We there was definitely a good crowd there, but Brendan, the ringmaster of all presentations. Playing the GM as if there's 12,000 people there,
Yeah.
and just
He's
brought it
just
100%.
playing it up like
Oh, yeah.
Brendan
Yeah.
plays it up.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, and he'll do that for two people at a table, or a room full of
12,000. Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah. He's a pro.
And
fantastic.
and the
Yeah.
and the horror panel,
Yeah.
went well. I mean, I'm not going to judge it myself, but I did get a few people afterwards that said it went well. Did a good job. There was some interesting questions from the crowd. It was interesting to hear everyone's take on the things that I brought up. Of course, it's me, so I over prepared. I had a novel of things to review, but yeah, it's this. I mean, and this is my first panel, so to speak, in front of people at a convention. And learned a couple things, and also felt that that I kind of let it. I'm not going to say let it go. I was very casual with it, and it didn't bother me one bit. I mean, a couple people kind of chimed in with questions like while we were still doing it, but I mean, it was a small, intimate group of people, so it really wasn't that big a deal. But no, it was a lot of fun, and would definitely like to do something like that again in regards to that various topics. And
you were great. You were great. Just to allay any concerns, you were fantastic.
Sure.
You're a great host. I had no doubts. So
yeah,
well, great. His head is swelling, and it doesn't fit into the camera shot anymore. Good job. Damn.
But no, I mean, and like I said, the highlights, and mind you, this is qualifying as my testimonial, James. I'm not typing that shit out on the Discord either.
We can quote the video.
But no, it's the just the setup and everything was good. The organization was great. The only minor things that kind of I'll let you know offhand that was sprinkled around is just some of the issues with cardboard events.com. There was some concerns about that. I don't know what to do, in something like that, because there's only, as far as outside of having someone create your own database and website, the few offerings that are still available to host conventions like that are far and few between, and all have their individual issues. And mind you, the only complaints I heard are from programmers. These are people who have no problem saying, well, this doesn't work. It's like, well, fix it. Well, my hourly fee is yada 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 yada.
Yeah,
but yeah, the role playing room, great. I mean, there's nothing worse, and I know Keith has experiences too, is going into a convention role playing room where there's like 8 tables in an 8x10 room, and you're talking over 8 people in groups, and horror stories. We at Gen Con, we had some guy walk into a small room and he set up a speaker. You were there for that, weren't you, Keith? You remember that?
Oh yeah.
And just like and finally we're just like, hey man,
no,
they're 2 feet in front of you. But not, there was no distractions or anything. Just a perfect room, everyone having a good time. And then, but all in all, fantastic convention. I've said this to you personally, and I'll say it again. Even if it wasn't a situation where I was, brought back in any sort of guest, faculty, I would come to it on my own. And definitely, just come up there to revisit and have a good time, because it was I'm not going to say a surprise, but it was definitely a warm expectation that went above and beyond what was there. And again, I know I got the fucking special treatment. I got to sit in the green room and steal Tim Hortons coffee and donuts from everybody. But
bastard.
But I would
jealous.
I would dare say that even if I wasn't there as a guest next time, I could still sneak in there. So, and just,
I gotcha. I gotcha. Whatever. If you come to CamCon, I'm putting you to work. So don't even worry about it.
that's
You're always
fine. I will, and it would definitely like to make it a duality too, because
Mhm.
as much fun as I had, it's easier having my, heterosexual life mate here, to work off of. There's certain things that, I will say something and I'm like, I'm waiting for someone to fill it in. Keith isn't here.
Oh no.
Fuck. Uh,
Well, I mean, if we can have you both up at the same time, I mean, there will be a panel. There'll be a live recording of the Titterpigs, like we
oh,
did with
fuck yeah.
Modern Mythos. It's like I got
Yeah.
plans for you guys if you
Cool.
both come at the same time. So
Man,
these things will happen.
I look off screen. I looked at like prices just for like August of next year, just to because there's September's not available yet. Holy hell!
Hmm.
Is that
From
good?
South
Holy hell, or
Carolina,
bad?
it's expensive,
Yeah, it's not
and
cheap.
one of them was like a 24-hour flight.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
rough. I mean, it's like
Most of them are about
like,
14 or 15 hours,
yeah,
and
flying people out.
they start at $700 and go up from there.
Yeah, that's a good price. They'll
Well,
probably go down eventually.
Yeah.
I mean, we bought our tickets probably about 3-4 months before the convention. That's kind of like the sweet spot. My wife is a travel agent, so she helped
Yeah.
a lot with that. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, we know it's not cheap, and
Yeah.
we're obviously we're not Gen Con, and we as much as we have grand ambitions, we're never going to be Gen Con,
Well,
but yeah, if there's one person from California that says this sounds cool and I want to go, that's awesome. That's amazing. That means our that we've reached out, and
Yeah.
and building on that is just what we need to do now, and just can get people who've come from California to say I would do this again, and
the
that's awesome.
the only other complaint I have is in the entire time I was there, nobody said to me, "Good day, A." So fix that before
Work on
I
it.
come
Hey,
up again.
I played you take off on the way back from the airport.
So
I did that
Listen,
for
if
John
I come
and
up
Seth
there,
as
I
well.
want to see reruns of the Red Green Show.
Heck yeah.
So
Like,
we
I got
have
some
the Red
preconceived
Green
notions.
channel, don't you know?
Yeah.
That's on you to come up in red green cosplay.
Hey, there you go.
I might just do that.
Honestly, I think you both could. It's like I think
I could
Scott
get
would
my
make a really
keytard
good red-
out.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
There we go.
I grew up on that show, man. Come on.
it's a
Tyler,
good show. It's
this is how
fantastic
it starts.
I'm almost a Canadian. Come on.
Once the ball starts rolling, it doesn't stop for Keys. So, so I know Tyler is, you're a little bit short on time, but before we call it an episode, what does the future of CamCon look like next year, the coming years? Certain things that you have ambitions for.
Yeah. The future is growth. We want it to grow. We think that there's room for it to grow. So that's kind of the really short, pithy answer is
Right.
is we want to grow. How we grow, that's the more complicated one. We don't want to grow too fast. If we grow too fast, then all sorts of things screw up. Anytime you go through growth, you have to do things slightly differently. And when you do things differently, things are going to screw up. And then you've got to deal with that in real time. So trying to find a way to sustainably grow is a really big thing. When we first started this thing, the space that we're in, we thought, oh, geez, maybe if we're really lucky in like a decade, we might be looking at having to get out of this space. And right now we're busting the walls of the venue.
Right.
And, there's possibility that there's more space in there available coming up in the next year or two. So there's a lot of question marks.
Right.
In terms of, do we stay at the same venue? We would like to. They've been really fantastic. They do all of the table setup and all that sort of stuff for us. So that would be great to stay there. What that growth looks like, we have to still figure out. But it would be amazing to get into over 1,000, 1,500 people coming out, and how to do that in that space and that sort of stuff. Those are the big questions for us. And that's kind of where my brain's always at, is how do we get to that next step? But growth is a sign of a really healthy community, and that we've grown every single year. This year, we lowered our average growth percentage. Since 2018, our average growth for physical events has been 60% every year. And we're getting to the point now where that's not realistic. But, to be able to add another 150 people this year over the 700 from last year, looking to break that 1,000 mark next year, that's kind of our next steps.
Yeah. I know that we're having some discussions with some. There's nothing firm yet, but in a couple of our special guests this year were Shane Ivey and Dennis Detweiler of ArcDream, and they came to me and said, "We have been thinking for a long time about trying to find a convention home for ArcDream," and they implied that KamCon could possibly be that for them, which is exceedingly exciting for us. I mean, considering the size of ArcDream. Now, this isn't anything that's official in any way at this point. So I don't want to oversay anything, but that is a relationship we definitely want to cultivate. Because again, this wasn't prompted by us in any way. It was them coming to the convention, experiencing it for themselves, and saying, "I think these people have an idea what they're doing." We don't always, but we're figuring it out.
I mean, did you try getting a hot dog in the middle of the day? I mean, Jesus.
But that would be but that would be amazing to get some like official sponsorship from a group like that whose reach is impressive, to say the least. And just the stable of creators and artists and writers that work with them is like, especially with like Chris Spivey just joined ArcDream, which is, I mean, I've been trying to talk to Chris Spivey for 3 years about coming to KamCon, and it's not that he's been unwilling, it's just he's a hard man to get a hold of. But now I've got an in, so maybe I can take Spivey.
Don't know.
Listen, give me a call.
I don't know. Talking with him in the back rooms, Chris is going to be pretty fucking busy.
I can imagine. But if we create this as a promotional event,
sure,
we'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Yeah,
Again,
absolutely.
like I said, I'm not saying what's happening or what they want or anything yet. There's a conversation that still need to happen. But
conversations are starting to happen. So that's
exactly,
good.
yeah. And again, and beyond anything else, to me, it just says that both Shane and Dennis had a good time and liked what we did. And regardless of whether they ever participate in KamCon ever again, that is more meaningful to me and to our entire team than anything else. That the people that we've invited to come up and all of our attendees have a great time every single year. And if that's not the case, either we need to figure out how to make it better, or we're doing something wrong. So I think we just need to not do wrong things.
Yeah.
Or we just moved to Canada.
Yeah.
Well,
I like that idea.
coming out. It's like I had a few conversations with Brendan, and he's like, "I'm thinking about it."
Kamloops is growing in a really big way. Right now. Really quick.
I just need to retire first, and then it might those cards might be on the table.
Yeah, that's kind of the same. Just fix your roads first. So
we're working on it.
We're working on it.
I mean, who the hell makes a right-hand turn right until a far left turn? Never mind. But
Canadians.
Same thing here. That's universal.
Have you driven in South Carolina?
I mean, see, city management doesn't change.
We'll put
anywhere.
a left blinker on and make a right-hand turn across 4 lanes of traffic.
Hey, there you go.
So before we close up, Keith, do you have anything you'd like to ask or add before we?
The only thing I want to say, I don't have any questions. The only thing I want to say is it sounds like you guys are doing it right, knocking it out of the park. I wish you guys the best of success every year coming up. Obviously, you can't sustain the growth you're sustaining, but if you can, that is absolutely fantastic. Would you say 16% growth year over year? I mean, that's brilliant.
6-0, yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah.
Okay.
But that's going to be hard to do. But if you can, great. If you can't, whatever you can do year over year, keep going, keep doing what you're doing, because the calculus is working, and it's fantastic. So keep it up. Don't invite Scott back. His head is just in that camera shot now. It won't fit anymore. Okay. If it gets any bigger.
But
y'all impressed him. He's been nothing but glowing since he came back. Either he had a great time or y'all really did something to him or slipped him something.
You're getting a shirt for Christmas.
Oh wait, he slept with Brendan. Never mind.
Not one exactly. Of the fun ones. The shirts are used for fun and also revenge. So
fair. That's fair.
But no, I'm sorry, James. Go ahead. You're going to say something.
I lost. Okay, it's all good. It's all good. I mean, well, no, and we've said it a couple of times. This, again, me and Tyler are a very small slice of the KamCon team, which includes our special guests and includes our attendees stuff, but also there's a cadre of really amazing people. Nigel, Marcus, to just name a few, Julian, of course. Yeah. These volunteers and these people who give their time and their passion to make this happen every single year. Those are the people, the special people that make this happen every year. And it has been an utter honor to work with these people. And I despite the stupid things I say more often than not, I hope they all realize how much I do personally appreciate everything they do all the time. And I try and tell them that. And sometimes with my stupid sense of humor, I say dumb things, whatever. But they are essential to making this happen. And I think it's important to recognize them as much as we can, as often as we can. So, because without the people who are giving their time and their passion, this doesn't happen at all.
Mm-hmm. Very true. Very true. Yeah. So, gentlemen, where can people find more information about Kamloops? And also, if by chance they want to get in contact with you and you have that information to share, we'll have it in the description of the video and the podcast also. But just for our audio listeners who have a pen and paper with them right now. So.
Well, the website is kamloopsconventions.ca, conventions as in plural with an S on the end. Mm-hmm. Kamloops in general, or the Tourism Kamloops, has a lot of really great information on their website. You can just search that up and find that there. And our social medias right now, we're using Facebook and Instagram, KamCon Conventions on Instagram and KamCon on Facebook.
Yes, and we have a fairly growing and active Discord as well for KamCon. We'll put those in the links below, kind of thing. So,
excellent. Yep. So, well, I do appreciate both of your time today, and again, thank you so much for having me come up there. Wonderful experience, and definitely want to do it again. Without question, and with more people. I mean, would love to have Keith there. If we can get some of our UK friends to fly out, now that I've awesome. Scouted them and told them, it's fine. And then
the moose don't bite.
Exactly. And the maple syrup flows like wine. But and then of course, not to bring it down a notch or two, but hopefully, as things progress towards the positive in the coming years between both of our countries, that the doors will swing open again, and not only can we come visit you, but would definitely like to have you guys come out, and maybe at one point in time we can see you all at a convention down here someday, and that would be excellent, and then to share the same. Gracious aspects that you've provided. So, well,
you mean I get to go to a convention that I don't have to organize and plan? Sign me up.
No, James. No, you're still have to be. You will be in charge. Because somebody's got to keep Seth in line when he's at Gen Con, and Jorge is just exhausted.
Oh, I can imagine.
But yeah, Tyler, my one of my favorite things, and I witnessed this several times, was just seeing James walking down those steps. That look, that kind of that faraway look in his eyes, and James. hi, and just and then just walk by like I was a ghost, whispering in his ear.
A little shell shocked.
Yeah, but anywho, thank you all for watching and also for listening on Titterpigs. So on behalf of orcusdorkus's RPG Shenanigans and
the Titterpigs
and
KamCon.
it will all sound fine in the edit. I fucking swear.
Yeah, we'll fix it.
Yes, thank you all for listening. Thank you all for watching, and yeah, there we go. Goodbye.
Bye-bye.
Thanks so much.